So welcome to doing your ligature logo. Here we have an example. We're going to be using the grid, as you can see on the left, to draw our ligature logo. On the right, using just circles and shapes. So our first task is to create a grid. In order for us to create a grid, here in Illustrator, we'll draw with a rectangle. And we're going to make a grid. Here's my rectangle. Let's make it red as our color. And let's switch the fill to a stroke. Now we'll go to Object, Path, split into a grid, and let's go 8 by 8. The more lines you have in your rows and columns, the more detail you can be with your shape. Wonderful design here with my grid. All right. So let's start with our design. What I would like to do is, of course, take my design and move it behind my grid. I'm going to make my design a little larger, holding down that Shift key. There's my design. And I will lock it. I'm going to take my grid now, hold its Shift key down, and I'm just going to match them up. So that takes up most of the space. Perfect. Now this is important. I'm going to lock the layer. I'm going to make sure I get my grid just right. So I'm going to move it with my arrow keys. It looks pretty good. Now I'll lock it and we'll make a new layer on top. Okay. So the first thing is we'll start with our ellipse tool so we can do our circle. I'm just going to go from the corner on my grid and draw to the other side so I get a perfect circle. And I'm going to do that again. Or my other trick is I can go to the circle, the ellipse tool, hold down my Alt key and Shift key and draw. And I'll get a circle from the center. These are two different ways. Let's try that one again because I think it's so much more easily controlled. Go to your ellipse tool, go to the center of your drawing that you need the ellipse to be drawn from, hold down the Alt and Shift key and drag with your mouse, letting go of your mouse before you let go of your Shift key. Perfect. Now I have my circle. Now it's time for me to draw my rectangles using the rectangle tool. I'm going to line it up perfect. And so we can see them, let's go with a slightly different color. I'm going to go with a yellow here. And you can change the height, dimensions. V. That looks great. I'm going to come over here and we'll go from the center. We'll draw our bar here up. And it does get a little confusing with all the lines you're going to have. And so some of this is paying really good attention to what each line or bar does. Now that I have it drawn, I'm going to turn off my layer so I can just see the shapes. I no longer have my grid. I'm going to select everything here. With my Shape Builder tool, I'm going to start adding by clicking and dragging. I can let go at any time, and I'm adding the shapes that I need to complete the object. Now that I have my shape completed, let's give it a color. And we can just pull it out. And we can delete any other extra spaces here. And then we have some little cleanups to do, which usually just requires T-, getting rid of some anchor points. If so desired. Looks pretty good. Now I have my T and my I. And there you have it. You're going to be using a grid. And remember, for our grid, we'll draw a box, holding our shift key down, object, path, and split into a grid. And we'll do 8 by 8. Make sure that your grid is just stroked. And of course, you'll lock that. And then you'll be using your shape tool, rectangle, and ellipse to create your logo.